fan. Ready? Alright, so in regards to animals, Yiddish writer and Nobel laureate Isaac Bashevis Singer says, in relation to them, all people are Nazis. For animals, it is an eternal Treblinka. Treblinka is a Nazi concentration camp. Now, this is an extreme statement, and most people are not as extreme about animal rights. But this is a statement that PETA used to inspire their Holocaust information that they put up. They put pictures of Holocaust victims, beside pictures of animals that were abused during their care. And for the most part, this is a very disturbing claim, and really it insulted a lot of Jewish people, other than the Nobel laureate who it was inspired by. But PETA has been isolating itself from people for a very long time. It didn't start with their extreme activists. It started a long time ago. And so PETA's actions and stances have harmed any further development of their goal of animal rights. By alienating their voting party, they're not going to get any more legislation passed. It's going to give more animal rights, more rights to animals. They alienate pet owners. They work outside the law. They alienate parents, and they alienate veterinarians. So my first point, how they alienate pet owners from their organization, is that they believe in speciesism, and that is that they reject animals should be any type of property. PETA seeks total animal liberation, according to President and co-founder Ingrid Newark. That means no meat or dairy, of course, but it also means no aquariums, no circuses, no hunting or fishing, no fur, no leather, and no medical research on using animals. PETA is even opposed to the use of seeing eye dogs. And this is obtained via the activist cache. It gives information to consumers and to the public about different organizations. There are approximately according to the U.S. Pet Owner Statistics given out by the Humane Society, there are 74.8 million dogs owned and 88.3 million cats owned. And this is a huge voting party that they are completely rejecting. And these are people who are going to be supportive to any claims of animal rights. They own animals and they care for animals. So my second claim is that they work outside of the law. So first, they have victimized people and picked different people in particular to victimize. Ann Winter is the editor of Vogue, and recently she was protested by PETA, and all the protesters had to be dragged away in handcuffs. Jenna Hunt, who's a PETA member and who writes articles for their website, said that today was not the first time that Winter was accosted because of her support of fur. She was also once served a dead raccoon at lunch at the Four Seasons, doused with flour, and was hit with 2 separate pies that was tossed her way by animal rights activists. This is physical harassment, and most people are not going to support any type of legislation by a group that works outside of the law in the first place. They also have been accused of and tried for taking animals from humane societies and euthanizing them because they believe the animals are being treated badly. PETA's Domestic Animal Issues and Abuse Department Director, Daphna Nakminovich, said that PETA did we euthanize some animals who could have been adopted? Maybe. So they're euthanizing animals who have a chance at a better life, and they're really just, it's really cruel and unusual punishment to take an animal who has no, who's not really being abused by these organizations, but being taken out before they even have a chance. So they also, this brings me to my third point, they also alienate parents. By activist cache, they have said that PETA's website for kids puts the skull and crossbones next to the logo of Disney's Animal Kingdom and tells the horror stories of restaurant foods employees who peed on hamburger patties and then served it to the consumers. Consumer Freedom, who also does reports on these type of organizations, said that PETA even gives small children blood and gore PETA comics and books entitled Your Mommy Kills Animals or Your Daddy Kills Animals, which has a picture of a mother with a knife and a bunny rabbit and blood spurting everywhere. Psychologists and school officials have denounced that PETA's child propaganda as despicable, traumatizing, beyond insensitive, and absolute atrocity. But PETA shows no signs of slowing down, and the details of this radical message are unknown to most parents and teachers. So since these parents don't know, they can't monitor the amount of information that they're getting, that their kids are receiving, and they're they have said that they are not going to stop attacking children in this manner and not going to stop giving them this type of information that is harmful to them. So they're alienating parents by harming their children and giving them inappropriate information. Finally, they attack veterinarians and alienate a huge group of professionals who have dedicated their entire lives to being there for animals. So Pennsylvania veterinarians Elizabeth Diamond and Jill Binger said that vets do so much for people and animal rights. And they said they almost wanted to rip up the signs that they're using in a protest. PETA likes to draw negative attention toward the group. They set themselves up for complete embarrassment lying naked in the streets of Seattle. They're really alienating their entire voting party and everybody who really would support this type of legislation. So, in conclusion, PETA's action stances have harmed any further development for the goal of animal rights by alienating pet owners, by rejecting the idea of anybody owning pets, by working outside of the law and breaking laws so that law-abiding citizens are often turned off to their style of work, by alienating parents, by attacking their children, and by attacking veterinarians who have dedicated their lives to this type of work. So, thank you.
All right, well, you do have a proposition early on. I do think you need to emphasize that that is your claim because you kind of have it in the introduction attention device, but it's not specified that that's the main proposition. This, you know, if people are listening carefully, they'll get it, but remember, listeners are not always that careful. On the other hand, you do structure the supporting points pretty clearly. You signpost them as you go through the presentation, and they're phrased as declarative statements for the most part, so they're a little bit easier to figure out. The controversy on the subject, I think, is a little bit problematic because, in essence, if we were going to take this in its most literal form, it's possible that the respondent is being put in the position of defending a radical policy that nobody accepts as being legitimate except people who subscribe to that radical point of view. And I'm not sure that that's something that the respondent should feel obligated to do. There needs to be a discussion, for instance, of whether PETA's policies are designed to do anything except to provoke in these situations. Do they have any policies, for instance, that attempt to mitigate harms to animals that are not seen as being extreme, that are undermined because of these extreme actions? So, for instance, their anti-fur campaign, which is really about, you know, trying to eliminate the use of those fur products, you know, is it undermined by the radical activities? In other words, do they have a legitimate opportunity to convince people that fur is a negative thing, and then they stick their foot in their mouth by using all this kind of over-the-top sort of practice? I think you need to show that that in fact is something that's going to happen. Otherwise, you know, you're just describing their, you know, kind of interesting perspective on the world and the universe. I thought you did a good job citing your information pretty consistently, and you had a variety of examples and illustrations that you used to support your point. You delivered the speech very effectively, and you used the time appropriately. Thank you.